morning. Can you hear me with this mic? Hello. Am I audible to everybody? Okay, great. So, all of those who are on Facebook right now, can you pay some attention here? This is the face which you should be booking with right now. Okay. Basically, the issue I want to discuss with all of you, you're all fresh, young, looking forward to a very exciting few months at the university, and then looking forward to a very bright career, I'm sure. Anybody who's not looking forward to a bright career? Okay, no, I assume that everybody is looking forward to a bright career. I want to talk to you about a very simple question, simple issue. If I tell you that university education is completely useless, and I insist that it's right, will you agree with me? Will anybody agree with me? If I say that this is my opinion and you have to accept it, will you accept it? Why? If I say that human rights are quite useless and democracy doesn't work and dictatorship is what runs this country, would you agree with me? Why? So some people say yes, some people say no. If I say that nuclear power is essential for everybody and all other power is useless, would you agree with me? If I say that whatever I say you have to accept, will you accept? Right. Now, what am I leading to? What is opinion? All of you, what you expressed is an opinion, correct? I agree, I don't agree, I believe, I don't believe. What is opinion? Anybody wants to take a shot at that? What is opinion? You speak louder because you're speaking to all of us and not just to me. His own thoughts. So I think that the light is bright. Is that an opinion? Sorry, speak louder and one by one because there's going to be too much noise otherwise. Okay. Free will. Okay, so I want to, just shoot you through right now. That's my will and opinion. Do I have a right to have it? Okay, good point. What else? What is opinion? Interpretation of a fact. Okay. Likes and dislikes. So we are talking about interpretation of facts, we are talking about free will, we are talking about likes and dislikes. What is the difference between opinion and prejudice? Prejudice is that anybody who wears shorts, and I see some people in shorts here, they are completely useless students. Is that an opinion or a prejudice? Why? Sorry? Okay, so what does predetermination mean? Right? Is this supposed to be the silent side? I think you have the right to speak. Okay? These guys are dominating, so I don't want to create divisions and divide and rule, but I see a lot of silence on this side. So, prejudice and opinion, you know the difference between, right? So, I'll ask you for one more phrase and then we'll continue our discussion. What is informed opinion? Sorry? Okay, is that a good thing? I mean, is it okay to have an opinion or is it necessary to have an informed opinion? Sorry? Supported by facts. Now, what basically you're saying that opinion means that world is divided into right and wrong, black and white, and there's a very stark difference between the two, right? Do you agree? There's either good or bad, there's either good or evil, or there's either black or white or red and yellow. There's nothing in between. What do you think? Some more from this side. Any reaction from all of you? Sorry? There is an area in between. Okay, see, I'll come to the point. If I've been sounding a bit confused right now, the reason is that I want to talk to you about why it's important to have an opinion and what is informed opinion. All of you already know about it, but the problem today is that there is a lot of information which is coming through across to all of you. Sometimes it's difficult to know what's going on, but why is it important to have an informed opinion? Anybody wants to answer that? Yes, not the usual suspects. I'll come to you if nobody else is answering. Excellent. Prejudice should not take over from opinion, but you know, as you go along in life, you will find that there are a lot of things happening around you which don't concern you. You're all technology students, you'll be working as engineers, maybe you'll take management roles, you'll be either inventors or managers or leaders. Now something like what's happening in Maruti. You all know what's happening at Maruti plant, right? Now, can we say that the workers are at fault for attacking the people? I mean, that's one opinion, correct? That workers attack the people, kill the general manager, and they're all evil and they should all be lined up and shot. Is that right? Does anybody agree with that or disagree with that? Why? What they did was right. Essentially, you're saying that if they disagreed with the management, they should just go and kill the people who don't agree with them. That's what you're all saying, correct? When you say that you disagree with the fact that I should shoot them, then you're saying that they were right. Okay. What are you agreeing with? Now tell me, why is it important for you to have an opinion on what's going on in Maruti? Is it relevant to your life and my life? So why do you want to be informed? You might join the IT sector, you might join a company like Google or a company which has nothing to do with industrial workers. You will never face a situation like this. I gave it to you in writing. It's a guarantee. Sorry? See, IT workers and people who are working in technology sectors have never revolted and killed their general manager anywhere in the world. Right? Has anybody heard of that? Yeah, but they haven't gone and burnt up the managing director of the airline. I mean, you hate the airline, you might want to do that, but nobody has done that, right? There is always a first time, so you want to be prepared for that. That's possible, yes. Look, the fact is that when you guys grow up and take leadership positions, you'll have to take decisions based on what's happening around you. Now, everything you can't experience, right? You might be in technology sector but not in industrial sector. You might be in industrial sector but not in the services sector. So how do you ensure what's going on? How do you know what's going on? If you have to take a decision on setting up a new factory, if you have to set up take a decision on hiring more people, how do you do that? Do you understand the difference between people working in the automotive sector versus those who are working in let's say the steel sector? The question is that it's important now for all of us, especially because we're living in a democracy, to not just have an opinion, not just have an informed opinion, but to have your own informed opinion. What is your own informed opinion? I mean, you know, let's say my neighbor told me yesterday that the power company are totally corrupt and therefore the power tariffs are going up, right? So I've accepted that. And next time somebody asks me, I'll just say the same thing. You know, the power companies are corrupt. Or the petrol price hike. You know, the government is totally corrupt. Petrol prices should not be hiked, and that's a serious crisis and I hate the government and I'm not going to vote for this government or the political party. So you have collected wisdom from what 5 other people have said without actually analyzing what has happened. So one of you said that to interpret facts, to ensure that you do not have a prejudice, how do you ensure that you take and come to your own conclusion? And since all of you have a very scientific background and you will continue to do that, you will need to apply logic to understanding and interpreting situations. And that will hold you in good stead simply because if you know, you can take better decisions at whatever you are going to be working at. Whether you're an inventor, whether you're a technology leader or you're a manager. Something like the issue of petrol price hike. Now, does anybody understand why petrol or diesel prices go up? Right? What? Right. No, subsidy is there because people can't afford to pay for petrol at the actual cost. Okay. The problem is that 90% of the issues that you will face, whether it's the Anna Hazare movement, and we can have your views on that, whether it's the petrol price hike, whether it's FDI in retail, all these issues do not have a right or a wrong. They all have shades of grey all over. Certain things are good, certain things are bad. But do you have the ability to be able to tell the good from the bad? Do you have the ability to be able to sift the facts, to read enough and know what is right, what is wrong? Or are you going to be living on borrowed opinion? Do you guys want to live on borrowed opinion? But do you think currently a lot of the opinion you have is borrowed from somebody else? Because you heard your neighbor say it, because you heard your parents say it, maybe you heard your siblings say it, or somebody in the family, or somebody you heard in the bus or train or metro or airlines, right? So the question is, on issues that matter, it's important to have your own informed opinion. And it is more serious than we realize, because uninformed opinion is prejudice, which somebody said over here. Sometimes we don't even realize what is prejudice, right? India-Pakistan issues, Hindu-Muslim issues. These are all issues where emotions work at a level higher than rational thinking. And all of this will affect you in your working life, in your academic life, in your social life, in your working life. So something like the Jan Lokpal issue or the Lokpal issue. Now, how many of you think that the Anna Hazare movement is useful? Okay. And how many people think that it's a waste of time? So my point is that you will constantly face conflicting opinion, you will constantly face views which don't click with yours, right? You will find like-minded people, but most importantly you will find that with each person out of 10 issues you agree on 2 and disagree on 8, right? So let's talk about the other aspect. Who thinks that Anna Hazare movement will lead to something useful? Not you. Are you sure? Are you absolutely sure? How are you sure? That Jan Lokpal will allow you to recall an MP? So how do you know this? Where did you read about it? On the Jan Lokpal side. Excellent. So this is a case of informed opinion, right? Where he is read up, he knows about it, but I can still find holes in his argument, because he's read only one aspect of what the Jan Lokpal activist is saying. That's his point of view or their point of view. But have you read the balancing point of view? No? Not yet. Do you think it's important, or you so believe these guys that you don't believe that there is any other view possible in the world? Okay. No. I'm fine. But the whole idea of my discussion with you is to help you understand how to arrive at an informed opinion or how to improve your knowledge. At the end of the day, you have to feel that I think I know what's going on, right? Somebody else doesn't have to tell me what's going on. Yes, I can take inputs from everybody else, but I know what's going on because I've checked the Jan Lokpal's website. I've also gone and checked the other guys who are opposing it, and I find that 5 of those things are right, 5 of these things are right. Maybe the answer lies somewhere else. Correct? But that's when you become brighter, you become more knowledgeable, and you don't have to depend on somebody else to tell you what to do, what not to do. So you're right. The problem is exactly what you say, and that's what I'm trying to address. I'll come to you in a minute, which is that people are associating with the movement or opposing the movement without a clear idea about why they're doing it. Do you want to be like those who are following some group or the other only because their friend or their neighbor went, or maybe the quality of tea was better at one convention and not the other? You don't want to do that, right? So, sorry, you wanted to say something. No, hang on, sorry. I am going to challenge your first point. How can you say not everybody can have an informed opinion? That's a very sweeping statement, which I don't know how many people want to agree with that. So nobody agrees with you right now that you can't have an informed opinion. How can you say that you can't? Why? If you have normal... So? Now, so there are two issues here. It's an important example you picked up. Two things. This young guy who is your driver, who's clearly in a different socio-economic class than you, he wants to know more about it. He probably doesn't have access to information to be able to read and know more about what's going on. So he comes to you, who he assumes knows more, and asks for his views. And it's absolutely fine for all of us to seek somebody else's view who we think is more knowledgeable. He is coming to you because he assumes that you have an informed opinion. He is coming to you because he thinks you read up, you looked at 5 different reports, you've spoken to people for, against, and who are neutral, and therefore you're giving him distilled information about that. Correct? But if you just say yes and no, then you're doing him a disservice because you haven't given him the reasons why it's good. So you have let him down in some ways, right? He went blindly with your opinion and supported it, for better or for worse. I'm not taking a comment on that. Therefore, the fact still comes that he wanted somebody to explain to him why, whether it's good and why it's good. So you told him whether it's good, but you didn't tell him why it's good. He trusts your judgment, and your judgment has to be and should have been based on your research. Imagine if everybody went by your judgment and you would suddenly realize, I don't think I actually studied this matter at all. Right? Do you want that to happen? What if you are proven wrong 3 years later? How terrible will you feel? It could be as simple as choosing a car or choosing a mobile phone. You can buy a mobile phone based on your research, or you can buy a mobile phone based on what 3 other friends did. All of whom made a mistake, but they covered it up by saying, no, I think it's cool. So again, I'm coming back to the issue of how do you know what is going on? Especially now when you have, and I think some of you were in the earlier debating issue where we were talking about the impact of social media. Information is coming to you from so many sides, right? Are you harnessing all that information for your good, or is it going over you like water off a duck's back? how do you use it? How do you ensure it's physically impossible for you to know about everything which is going on constantly? That's absolutely right. But my request to you is that before you expound an opinion, you should know what you're talking about. Do you like people who keep telling you what's right and wrong and then they don't know anything about it? Do you want to be one of them? So there's a personality issue here, there's a professional issue here, there's a social issue here, there's a career issue here, right? Another example is FDI in retail. Everybody knows what's FDI and what is foreign indirect investment. Anybody knows that? Does it exist? Right. So what is FDI in retail? Why is it such a controversial issue? Anybody has a take on that? Anybody who thinks that he or she knows a little bit about it? I'm not going to, again, you're not on, I'm not going to challenge you on everything, but what is FDI in retail issue all about? How do you consume information? And some of the students here had a debating thing, so I'll briefly touch upon the new forms of information which are coming through to all of us on social networks, on online media. Before that, how many of you read a newspaper once a week? Once a month? Never? You never? Never? Never read it paper? Okay, and you would like to explain why? 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 To save the environment. But how else do you get yourself updated on what's going on? Okay, so there's a fantastic debate here on whether using laptop and getting online information is more environment friendly than reading newspapers. Anybody wants to take a shot at this? What is better? If I were to ask you to do a debate or ask for your opinion, what is more environment friendly, to get information online or to get it in newspapers? I want to hear somebody who has not spoken. Water shortage and electricity on laptop. Charge it. Okay, yeah, that's a serious problem. Anybody else? So if we had solar laptops, it would be fine, right? Okay, come on, guys. Don't sleep. I know it's hot and humid over here, but get your mind going even if your body doesn't move. Yes? E-book readers, how will you read it? You need a device, right? And what is the device made of? No, what is the device made of? So if all of us were to have a plastic device to consume information and read newspapers on that, will that be more environment friendly than reading a paper? Sorry? What is recyclable? No, my point is I'm not criticizing what he said or what his family has decided. All I'm saying is that we don't know. We don't know whether right now, if everybody were to buy a newspaper, would that be more environment friendly, or if everybody were to use a plastic device and use online connectivity, would that be more friendly? We don't know. All I'm saying is right now I don't know. We'll have to wait for research. Some research is there, some is not. I'll be honest with you, right now I don't know which is better, which is not. Right? No, we're going away from the point. I'll come back. He made an interesting point, so I thought that's a good point of debate. But the real issue is, I noticed that a lot of you, whether in a physical form or in a virtual form, how many of you read a news source every day? I don't think that's 100%, that's close to 80%, and this row is clearly not reading anything at all. But why is it important? Why do you guys, and what do you guys read? Any sense of what you read? Politics, sports. So you read what you want to know already about, right? You have an interest in sports and football, so you just read more and more about football, you don't care about what else is happening. You're interested in politics, you just read about politics, you don't know what's happening in the world of art and culture. If you're interested in art and culture, you don't give a damn about what's happening in the world of science and technology. Yeah, you do. My point is that my request to you is that make it a habit to read as much as you can, consume information online, whether it's through television news sites. You can watch views. Now television is more a sort of form of or a source of views than news. But what I would think is that if you want to have, and I think all of us agree on this, at least there is no debate on this, it's important for all of us to have an informed opinion, to be able to know what's going on and not depend on somebody else on what you want to believe in. Therefore, please be aware of what's going on every day. The way you read, the way you eat food, have breakfast, lunch, dinner every day, that's the same way you must know what's going on. You must know how to assess an opinion. Somebody will give you a very rabid view that worker rights should be trampled, workers are terrible, dictatorship is perfect. Have your own set of thoughts. If you don't know, it takes you a very short while to know what's going on. And to give example of what I was with the class earlier with Dr. Khanna, that when you did debates, you had 5 minutes to prepare for a debate, and you did it quickly because you were online and you got information almost immediately, right? It didn't used to be there for students who were in university 15 years ago, right? Your parents and their parents found it very difficult to know what's going on. The problem and the strange paradox is that you have more information about what's going on, but lesser people are consuming it. Because there's an abundance, less people consume it. So that's where I want to end, but if anybody has questions on the importance of the theme, I'll be happy to take some questions. Please. Correct. That's true. That's a very good point, and that you will face in several situations. I mean, if you're interested in that topic and it really bothers you, something happens, it really bothers you. Either it can excite you that you want to know more, or it bothers you so much that you want to know more. Wait, let me complete this. So, I don't have an answer to that because sometimes it's difficult to know what's actually going on. The best you can do for yourself is to have as many inputs on that matter as possible, right? If you have friends and family in the know, talk to them about it. There are certain issues which don't have the truth for which is not known for decades sometimes. You know, people who are involved in it cover it up. Everybody looks at one aspect of it. So this is especially true in the media. So when I say that have an informed opinion, the prejudice also exists in the media, people who are on the spot. So they will only want to report only one aspect of it, which will change the news and the facts that they are picking up. Out of a set of 5 facts, they will pick up only 2 and show it to you, and not the other 3 which would have completely given an opposite thing. The example of what I told you about the mobile phones, right? So the best you can do to yourself is to get as much information from as many sources as possible, and keep tracking that information, that topic, as far as you can. Sooner or later, you will be better informed. Even if you get 10 different opposing facts, you are better informed than the person who knows only one set of facts, right? And then, with experience and with other anecdotal evidence, you can form a hazy opinion of actually what went on, right? right? No, here you must understand that in the media sector, there is a very clear difference between news and views. Okay, uh, in an ideal situation, and I'm not saying it exists everywhere. In an ideal situation, news means only reporting of facts with contextual information. If 5 buses were burnt in a protest, that's a fact. There was an angry mob, that's a fact. There's no opinion there. That's a description. An angry mob is a description, not an opinion. So that's what being told to you. Now, whether they were right in burning the bus or not would be a separate issue, and sometimes some of the newspapers, even on page 1, they say our view. Correct? I'm sure you would have seen some of that. Channels, sometimes the anchors might give their own view, but they also have to give facts on why if they're not doing it, then they're not good. So if you find any news source which is giving you views without backing it up with facts, they're trying to fool you or convince you. Are you intelligent enough to figure out when somebody is trying to fool you, or are you going to be dumb enough to accept whatever is thrown at you? Therefore, the point you're making is important. Understand, so if you read 5 sources on the same subject, you can find the difference. But on basic reporting, news will be separated from views. I want to, okay, go ahead. No, I am not in the business of condemning or appreciation. First, no. First is, as a journalist or as a media person, I ran a team of more than 300 people. You make sure that first they report facts and not opinion. Correct? Now, if you say that army attacked civil society or civil society attacked army, I look at both these as 2 separate facts. Then I would like to know what happened. What led to this situation? Right? But there are certain aspects of value system. When you talk about value system, you're again talking about what you're mentioning is affiliations, not value system. If he has friends and family in the army, that's an affiliation, not a value system. So he will be sympathetic. You may have friends and family who have suffered at the hands of some people, so you will have that affiliation. My point is that you have to be slightly disconnected emotionally to be able to take a rational decision or take a rational opinion. Right? How do you do that? By just trying to get more facts about the situation. Certain value systems you cannot disagree with. Human rights you cannot disagree with. Gender rights you cannot disagree with. That's part of what makes us a mature, evolved, open, fair, equitable society. Right? You cannot say that my value system is to keep all the women at home, and I disagree with anybody who says that girls should go out and work. What if that's my value system? Do you want to support that? You can't. People will behave like that, but as a society, as a rule-based society, there are certain aspects which we cannot negotiate on. You cannot allow anybody to convince you that girls should stay at home and not work, or it's only the guys who will go out and work. You have this huge issue of the Guwahati molestation case, right? Now, I was on a debate and I was asked my opinion, which is, I just said instead of keeping all the girls at home, I'd say that keep all the guys at home and let the girls out free. There will be no problem, right? That's a solution, correct? Because who's actually committing the crime? The guys, the men. So my point is that certain value systems cannot be negotiated upon in our country, right? The rest we can debate upon, but human rights, gender rights, freedom of opinion, freedom of speech, absolute equal rights to every individual cannot be negotiated upon. I can't hear you. You have to speak louder. No, because as a country we have decided, whatever it may be, the fact is that he is being tried in a fair system. Now the answer to, because he killed people, the answer is not to line him up on the wall and kill him. That's not the answer. No, I'm sorry, that you're going back to a very, should I say, animalistic point of view, that you hit me, I'll hit you back. A mature civilized society, one second, a mature civilized society, why do you have a justice system? Why are we against a Khap Panchayat, against a normal judicial system? Right? Is there a sense of evolution in the way they think? So those are the value systems we cannot disagree with. Two individuals have the right, for example, to live together and do what they feel like, as long as they are not breaking any other law. But not a sense of misplaced tradition. According to you, if you say that according to you if Kasab should be shot, then a Khap Panchayat is also right in killing their children for running away together. Because that's your point of view and that's their point of view. How can you say your point of view is better than their point of view? Correct? So if you allow every small group's point of view to dominate, then you don't have a rule-based society. Then you have lots of little groups killing each other all the time. Clearly you don't want that. Right? You see examples of road rage. I mean, that's a very simple example. How dare you cross my car? I'll kill you. So killing is not the answer. Anybody else? Any other thought? I want to see somebody who has not spoken. Again, this is the silent side. Thank God for you.
This question is open for everybody.
Right?
This applies to everything, but I'm asking the context of the Bhopal. I'm putting forward two scenarios. Now, first group is finding a solution for a problem, and he finds a simple solution and applies it immediately or fast and faster. And second group is searching the solution to same problem, but he wants to find a more complex and more better solution, and it takes time. And it will apply to be applied much later than the first group. So this group is better. I'm seeing the context of group problem.
See,
Right?
again, I'm telling you, there is no one final answer. I have studied the matter and I can tell you very honestly that I can't say I'm against this and for this. I can say that, look, this aspect of what he says, in my view, is good. This aspect of what the other group says is good. I think that's workable because of my experience, of my learning so far. If you can prove that I'm wrong, I'm willing to listen to you.
What I'm proposing is what people are finding a good point should be applied immediately so that local will can give us some positive points of follow.
Correct. So that's your point of view. So
Fighting over it, actually people are fighting over the one point which is weak. Because of that, positive points are also being held up.
correct.
If we can make some ways so that we can apply the positive point immediately.
Fine. So I'm not going to comment on you, but all I would say, your approach is a very good approach, which is that make up your decision, make up your mind on what's good, what's not, and then if I come to you as a TV reporter or as a journalist, or you have the freedom of expression online. You can go online, join a group on Twitter or Facebook or any other social media. You can give a very well argued reason on why I think they should be implemented immediately. So you will influence opinion, because you are influencing opinion by giving facts, and you are giving argued facts. There is a logic to what you are saying. That's all I am saying. My simple point is, this is how you should arrive at a decision or opinion, by arguing for it, using facts, putting them together, and not deciding from day one, this is bad or that's wrong, or this is good, and nobody can ever convince me. In fact, that's the other point. I mean, the moment you think that I am right about everything, even though I have an informed opinion, nobody can convince me that I am wrong. That's also a sense, that's also a type of prejudice, that I am a superior human being to everybody else. Even if you are, then you are actually more superior if you don't say it. Right? That I don't think we have time for you to debate with all of them, but I'm sure you're going to spend more time with them than I am. Gather 10 of them, lock them in a room, get their opinion. Okay? Or you can allow them to share thoughts with you in the canteen. I don't know if you have a sort of social network for all of you students. Maybe you can create a group for all the batchmates you have over here. Share thoughts on that, right? Do that. I mean, it's easy for you to create a special Facebook page for your batch. Share thoughts, ask what people think about, create your own informal debates, and see who can convince others about the facts, right? Thanks very much, and I wish you good luck for your coming months.